All right. It's your boy, the first billionaire podcaster, the Daniel Plain View of podcasting. Welcome to Lost in the Maze. This is the solo show, which is what's the word? Self-indulgent. Yes. Just the sort of the solo podcast style where it's like I got nobody to talk to, so why not try and make a little money talking to myself. That's all this is. I don't buy into that. Like, I stopped buying into that whole you should just like do art and make things for fun thing. That's fucking bullshit. That whole goddamn like Seinfeld documentary, like his whole thing where it's like, it's not about the money. You should do it because you love it or whatever. It's like that's an easy fucking like, point of view to have when you have like $1 billion and have done like the greatest sitcom of all time. It's real fucking easy to say that shit, but when you're like completely fucking broke and have like no real skills and you're like banking on just like your personality and sense of humor to somehow like make you a living. You got all these fucking people trying to tell you that like you shouldn't like concern yourself with the money. You should just like do things for fun. And it's like that's not the way the world works. It's like you work to have fun. Like you do things like so that you can then have like fun, spend your money on fun things. But the idea of just like doing shit like this and stand up or writing a book or whatever and just being like, oh, I just fucking like doing this and I don't expect to ever like make any money. That's why you like so many fucking like artists are always broke because they bought into this fucking horse shit that they should just never value their own work or try to sell it. Like they're embarrassed to like ask for money for the fucking product that they're making. Like it's like so hacky or some sort of like selling out sort of thing. And it's like, I'm not, dude. Fucking pay me. I step to the fucking content trough and eat and pay for your slop, pig. You fucking bitch ass, punk ass pig. I really despise that whole attitude. I mean, I remember I used to like just the amount of fucking like money you spend like working for free trying to like do shit like this. You just like doing stand up or whatever, like going to places and like not even like doing it for free, actually like having to fucking like pay to do it because like some guy figured out his like con and scam where it's like I'll stand here with a fucking bucket full of names and then it's everybody has to pay me $5 for the honor of performing inside of this little coffee shop. It's crazy, dude, how like you get these like these people desperate for attention and validation, these like naive people who think that like this is just the way it works. Like I gotta go to a coffee shop and pay some dipshit hack $5 so that I can do 5 minutes of stand up. And for what? Like, okay, like okay, like maybe you film your set and post it to the fucking internet. Who gives a shit? It's a fucking open mic set. It does nothing for you. I mean, dude, the whole fucking like it's like the most corrupt like multi-level marketing like pyramid scheme is like whatever's going on in like the world of stand-up comedy and like that realm of entertainment. It's just like con artists and grifters and scammers at every fucking corner, ready to take advantage of like all these people who I guess like have listened to just tons and tons of podcasts and said like, oh, I guess I'll fucking like be the next Patrice O'Neill or whatever. And so they pay some fucking guy like like $20 to or they do like one of the best scams is the bringer show is like some fucking dude like sends out a like this blast email that I don't know how I even got on the fucking email list, and it's like come to the club and we'll do like a meeting or whatever, and then what they always tell you is like, so they book like 20 people for the fucking show, and then they make each comedian, if you to actually perform you have to bring 7 audience members. So it's like the actual like performance and the marketing, so like all of it rests solely on the backs of like these open micers who are like new at this, who have no fucking clue how to like do this kind of work. I mean, it's like, it's on them for getting, I've been there getting like pulled into this scam. But the selling point is always like, oh, this show will always sells out. And it's like, yeah, fucking course it does. Cause you got 20 fucking comedians on this thing that you're making. Each of them are bringing 7 people. So it stands to reason that the fucking show is going to sell out. It's not like the whole audience is just like stoked for like whatever this show is. They got like dragged into this by like, like a friend or a coworker who's trying comedy. Or if you're like in comedy, it's usually just like you ask somebody else who's also doing this scam and you say like, come to my show and then I'll go to your show. So it's just the same philosophy as like, leaving a tip at a coffee shop, and then that person leaves a tip at your barber shop, and then that person leaves that same tip at the smoothie shop. So it's like this, this sort of Ouroboros of desperate fucking open micers. It's all a scam. And then they tell you like, we'll film your set, so you have like a nice little 5-minute tape, but it's also $25 for the fucking tape. So you're performing for a sold out room of people that don't really want to be there, that 7 of which you had to drag there yourself. And then afterward you want a tape so you can, post it so like 19 people can watch it on YouTube. So you pay $25 for this fucking tape. And then you like you watch the thing and it's like they don't even have like anything mic'd correctly. So it's like all you hear is like your material, and then you can't even fucking hear the audience really laughing. So it's completely fucking worthless, and the whole thing is just it's just a big scam. And like as a con man, I can appreciate that. I love a good con, I love a scam, but god damn, I've been like just pulled into so many of those kinds of things. I mean, I used to go and like do chores, like actually work a fucking job at a club, like 6 hours a night in the only payment being like maybe I would get 3 minutes on the weekend shows if like some road dog didn't show up that was gonna like blow through the light. It would be like, these weekend showcases where it's like 15 different comedians going on, and if they could fit me in, I might get 3 minutes after working there for fucking hours and not making a fucking dime doing this. And then everybody else there, like you say to them, like, doesn't it feel like we're being exploited in some way? Like we're coming here and like doing all this fucking work and not making any money and not even like guaranteed to do the thing that like was promised, which is stage time. And I remember some fucking dipshit one time told me like, because I brought that up to him and he said, "Oh, you sound like really entitled right now." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm entitled because I'm like working, I'm like doing a fucking job." And not making any money, and not even like necessarily getting paid in like the thing that was promised to me, which is the fucking stage time. And then they have the nerve to like I'm there all those hours not getting paid, and it's like there's a bar there that has like pub mix or whatever, so I'm hungry, and then they have the nerve to like get mad at me for asking for free pub mix. And it's like I'm doing like all this fucking work. I mean, the least you could do is give me some of them little rye chips. That's the best part of any pub mix is the rye chips. I mean, there's nothing more decadent than the Gardetto's bag of just the rye chips. Oh my god, dude. I mean, I love that. That's like my favorite thing is when you have like all these different like food, like foods that are like stuff that's all mixed together, but there's always like something really good in it that you wish that I wish I could just buy a box of this. And then they do make that, like the rye chips or the honey bunches of oats, just bunches. Oh my god. Oops, all berries. I mean, that's what's truly one of the best things about this country is, like some corporation will introduce a product that's like great. It's a mix of all these delicious snacks, but then in that you say to yourself, I like these snacks, but like I really like this one. Like this is like my favorite. And then it becomes this sort of like morphic resonance like experience. You know what morphic resonance is? Like this idea that like this sort of like learned behavior between like different organisms that like have not interacted with each other. Like one of the examples I remember reading was like a cattle grate. So like those like raised bars in the ground that stop like cattle and goats and stuff from like walking over them and getting out. Um it's I read some story that I think in like Australia or something, like these goats had figured in one part of the country had figured out a way to like lay down and roll over this cattle grate to get by it, and then it just spread. So like all over the country, like every like animal was like figuring out how to escape these like cattle grates. And it like the idea is like morphic resonance, I think is called. So it's like these sort of like shared experiences between all kinds of different animals and species and people that nobody knows where they originated, or like between people that just have never interacted with each other. Like this, I have a tattoo of one, the cool S. That's like, nobody knows where that came from or like what it is or who created it, but everybody was drawing it when I was in middle school, carving it into the desk. So that's sort of just this weird thing about I guess people and life, just those sort of shared experiences. And so like what I'm talking about is the idea that like of these, different food products, like a bag of Gardettos, everybody agrees, based on what I've seen and who I've talked to, that the rye chips in the Gardettos bag that's the best of the what's in the pub mix and the Gardettos. So then Gardettos is like, well, shit, let's make a bag of just the rye chips. And there's nothing more decadent and regal and American than that, than having a product that's already great and then saying, I like this, but what if it was just the thing I really like? I don't want to have to like, sort through all this bullshit to get to the rye chips. Just let me get a bag of fucking rye chips. Let me get a Captain Crunch. It's just the oops all berries. Um, yeah, it's really nice. And cookie dough bites. I guess I don't. I guess that's another one. Like cookie dough is fun. I like cookie dough. It's like now. When I was a kid, it was like what you were always told about cookie dough was like you shouldn't eat it. That you'll get like I was always told you'll get like worms in your tummy if you eat cookie dough. But now, because like slowly just cookie dough wound its way up into everything, like you go get ice cream or whatever, and there's just cookie dough and stuff. It became, I don't know if it was ever true that it was like bad for you to eat cookie. I mean, I guess there's like raw egg in it, but I've had raw egg on like a steak tartare. I went to this place in Fort Worth once called a Bird Cafe, and I ordered it was a steak tartare that came with a like a quail egg that had the top off of it. So like they cracked it and peeled the top off the egg and put it in the middle of the steak tartare. And so the idea is that you have like this like a little plate of like raw steak that you would then pour a raw quail egg on top of, and it's supposed to be like a highfalutin delicacy that you're just eating raw steak and raw quail egg. And it is like, honestly, like it is delicious, but it gave me like crazy diarrhea. I don't think like that's not, I don't understand like in any other instance that would be like a bad idea. That's like bad for you to do that. But when it's $30, all of a sudden it's like here's a plate with garnish, and this now it's like, this like respectable dish. But if I was just at home and like grabbed a sirloin and cut it up and then cracked an egg on top of it, like that's a bad idea. I would not do that. But if I go to a restaurant and they slice up a raw steak and give me a little quail egg, it's like, oh, this is fancy. So, um, cookie dough was always one of those things that I was told you shouldn't eat raw because you'll get worms in your tummy. But now, if you go to the store and look at like the log, the Pillsbury log of cookie dough, it says like on the package, like, you can eat it raw now. It's like ready to eat. So, if you're just a disgusting pig like I am, I don't want to bake. I've never bought cookie dough actually wanting to bake the cookies. It's always like I want to crack open that log and just start like tearing into it and eat it that way. And it was always this thing where it's like when I was a kid, my mom would tell me, don't do that. You're gonna get really sick. And but now, they came around. One time I went and bought this, like it was like a Nestle Toll House. I was in college, and it was like a Nestle Toll House like tub of cookie dough. I think it was supposed to make like 3 dozen cookies, and I just ate the whole tub of raw cookie dough in one sitting and got extremely sick. But not because it was raw cookie dough, it's just because I don't think you're supposed to eat 36 cookies in any form, raw or cooked, or I think it's like generally like ill advised to eat 36 cookies. But I used to do shit like that all the time. I used to go to I'll go to Albertsons by my apartment and just buy like an entire cake, like a birthday cake or something, and just go home and like sit in my bed and eat it. Just eating a cake in bed. Or there was a time when I was in college, I always enjoyed this because like as much as I love like good pizza, like a really nice like fancy slice of pizza, I'll never enjoy anything more than like the just the sort of like trash that I was raised on. Because I guess if you like grow up in New York or like other parts of the country, you have access to like all these like small like coal fire or whatever pizzerias that have like really good slices. But like where I'm from, it was just you were bombarded with like Pizza Hut, Papa John's, Domino's, shit like that. And the best was always Pizza Hut because they were the ones that invented the stuffed crust. I remember as a kid, if I remember correctly, like stuffed crust came out, and at that time, Crash Bandicoot was really popping. Like Crash Bandicoot had just come out, and like he had become like the mascot for PlayStation. I remember there were like these pizza commercials where it was like like a guy in like a big Crash Bandicoot costume who was like, like it's stuffed crust pizza, so you like turn it around and eat it backwards because you fucking, cheat. They made it seem they all like the way that stuffed crust was advertised to me as a kid. The way I like interpreted it was like the crust on pizza was something that was undesirable and maybe even was considered like healthy in some way. Like kids didn't want to eat it because it was like maybe like the healthiest part of the pizza. And so this is just my interpretation. And so they invented stuffed crust, which was like a way to, entice people into finally eating their crust and getting their like vitamins that are in the crust of the pizza. Was sort of sort of like the way that I was interpreting the marketing of stuffed crust pizza. Really, it's just a great idea. It's like, crust by itself is kind of like a hassle, but if there's delicious melty cheese in it, it's like then it becomes like a go like the finish line of the pizza. It's like you're happy to get there, or if you're so inclined, turn the pizza around, eat it in reverse, which you could always do. They made that seem like such a novel idea in the Crash Bandicoot commercials, where it's like finally you can eat the pizza backwards. And I was like, well, that was always an option. It's just like most people don't do that. Um, But that was like, so that made pizza sort of the go-to for me, was the stuffed crust. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Papa John's because they got the and not even for the pizza. It's just whoever, like whatever genius that maybe John Shatner thought this up, but that in every Papa John's pizza you order, the that like pepperoncini pepper and that little tub of garlic butter. That's, I mean, that's what I get excited for with a little PJs. But I, when I was in college, and this is why I will always have such fondness for pizza, because at the time they had this like this promotion where it was like $10, a large pie, whatever the fuck you wanted on it. They had like some deal going where it's like loaded up with every fucking thing we got in this kitchen, and it's still $10. And so that was my groceries. Like I would just like, you just like place an online order for like a large pizza with literally everything on it. Just like pepperoni, bacon, ham, pineapple, bell pepper, like whatever they had. Like the thing, it was a, like at that point, the pizza itself is just sort of a delivery system for my like groceries for the week. Just all the all the like protein and vegetables I'm supposed to be eating. And I would always bring the extra $2 for a stuffed crust. And so I just like lived on large Pizza Hut pizzas with everything on it. And then every now and then I go to the Albertsons and buy what I came to refer to as a bed cake, a cake I would eat in bed. And yeah, so naturally I've always struggled with my weight, and I'm probably like the fattest I've ever been now because like after my mental health, my psychotic break, followed by a coma, followed by deep depression, uh, slash like having to relearn how to actually form a thought and make sentences. Um, you know, I just ended up ballooning, and I think I'm around like Tree Bills now. Tree Bills, and it's not fun, and I do miss, that's the one thing I really miss about being crazy, was how energetic and active I was at that time. And because I was like really like getting into like I like at least the idea of yoga. I was like stretching a lot. I don't think I was actually ever like doing yoga, but I was doing a lot of stretching, and I was like pretty limber, and I was like walking several miles a day and just not sleeping or eating. So I think I got down to like 190, which is the like thinnest I've ever been as an adult. And now I'm, easily Tree Bills. I got that because I got that like Orson Welles thing going on, the fat genius, the fat, the brilliant fat guy, Orson Welles, or Harvey Firestein, who looks really crazy now. I remember him like, I guess he was like my first gay guy. I guess like as a kid, like watching Mrs. Doubtfire, it was like that was like the first time I'd like, oh, that's a gay guy. So that's how I always remember him fondly for that, as like the first gay guy who also just sounded fucked up. Like he had it, but I guess he has like some like congenital thing with his vocal cords. So it's like, oh honey, oh honey, thank you for it's me, Harvey Firestein. Oh, thank you, honey. And I saw like a recent interview with him because he's still like pretty active on Broadway, and he has to weigh like 400 pounds now. He's like the size of a fucking blimp. It's like uncomfortable to look at. Like it looks like he's like bursting out of his own skin. But I get, brilliant gay guy, I suppose. And you know, I guess I'll do what I can to lose the weight. I switched to Coke Zero, so I only drink like 10 of those a day. And I don't know if they're like any better for you than regular Coke. I have no fucking clue like what any of these chemicals are. It reminds me of that, like, did you ever see that like old B movie, The Stuff? where it's like kind of starts out like The Thing, where it's like these two guys in like the Arctic, and they find this like well of some sort of like semen or like a white goo, and they do the movie thing where like you only see this in movies where like they find like some substance or something on the fucking ground, and then a guy will like dip his fingers into it and taste it, which I don't think anybody in real life would investigate things in that way, but so like this guy tastes it, realizes like it tastes really good, like it's sweet or whatever. So they start like sucking this stuff up out of the earth and like testing on it, and discover that it has like 0 calories and you can eat it. It's delicious, 0 calories. So they like package it up as this food product called the stuff, and it becomes this big hit. And then like everyone in America is like addicted to this to the stuff. They're like all the fridges are stocked with it, and I come to find out it's some sort of organism that like mutates you, it takes over your fucking brain. I mean, it is a lot like The Thing, but then it turns into like some. If I remember right, it turns into some sort of like guerrilla Marxist thing happens at the end with like some sort of like militia group. I don't know, but that I always think of that movie when I like think about like zero sugar like products where it's like they introduce this like product that's supposed to be like, are you a fat fuck or like worried about becoming a fat fuck but love the taste of Coca-Cola? Well, here's something with presumably 0 calories that you can just drink all day and not have to worry about gaining weight. But you know what Newton said: for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So I feel like if you're like just ingesting all these like whatever like weird shit is in these things to make them like taste, because like Diet Coke never tasted like Coke to me. I always hated it, and it was always this sort of like simulacra of Coke, where it's like, well, it's like Coke adjacent. Like I guess it has like the essence of Coca Cola to it, but it tastes like almost like batteries or something. It's fucking gross. And I've never enjoyed Diet Coke, and I don't understand anyone that does. Like that chinless Italian guy on TikTok. But then, like when I was a kid, and they introduced Coke Zero, and they were like, "All right, we finally figured it out. We heard you. Diet Coke sucks. So here's Coke Zero. It's 0 calories, and it's like we've gotten as close as scientifically possible to the taste of Coca Cola while not having any calories." And so you try it for the first time, and you go, "Holy shit, my God, they did it! Like this." It's not exactly like Coca Cola. It's not there yet, but it's close. It's close enough that you can make the switch and stop like and enjoy it. Not in the way that I ever like. I can never enjoy Diet Coke. And the great thing about Coke Zero is like if you drink like Coca Colas every day, like full sugar, you tell yourself like I can only have like maybe one or two of these because it's just so much sugar, and I don't want to overdo it on these. But then like the psychology of Coke Zero is that, well, there's zero sugar in this. It's 0 calories. It's basically water. So I could drink like 10 of these a day, and I'm fine. And that's the best thing about Coke Zero is it is like a shittier version of Coke. I mean, it's close to Coke, but it's not as good. But the best thing about it is now you can drink 10 a day because it's zero sugar. And so that's what I do. That's most of my days just like vaping, Zen pouches, Coke Zero, instant coffee, and like crash, just endless fatigue. And then like let's do it again the next day, baby. um and I balance it out. Like I'll have a Topo Chico every now and then, or like a Fiji or something. But I just I love I guess tasty chemicals. Like I don't know, I don't like I never liked like low fat stuff or zero fat items. Like wasn't that was always like the idea of Miracle Whip, which is marketed as a salad dressing, which is like fuck really like a disgusting idea to me that you're gonna take like this like what to me was always like a mayonnaise substitute and use it as like for your salad. But the idea of Miracle Whip was always like it was like fat free, which we all everybody knows now just means they like pump it full of sugar or something. And but like fat free stuff just like never tasted good to me, like Miracle Whip yogurts or whatever. And the biggest scam with all that is fucking milk. Like there's nothing better than that red label vitamin D whole milk. And the fact that like anyone would buy like 2% or 1% of skim milk is crazy to me because it's like you're not even supposed to drink milk, I think. Like haven't they said that like once you're off your mama's titty, once you hit like 4 or 5 years old and it's time to stop breastfeeding, you're off the titty and you don't drink milk anymore. And so like they've said I've heard like over the years that it's like people aren't really meant to be drinking milk. So it's like if you're gonna drink it anyway, just get the good shit. Go to the Brahms because we all know Brahms has the best milk, and get you a gallon of whole milk at the market attached to the Brahms, and enjoy it. It's I love a big ice cold glass of milk. By itself, I never liked it with like a school lunch. That was always crazy to me. It's like I'm getting like steak fingers and tater tots, and then they're like, "Here's a carton of fucking milk." It's like this is not what I want with this kind of food. Like these things don't really pair that well. I'd rather just have like water. Can I have water? Well, no, we don't have bottles. We can't give you water here in the cafeteria. You out of your fucking mind? Go to the water fountain. All we have is milk. You think we're gonna have water in the fucking high school cafeteria? Get the crazy talk, okay? You got to go to the water fountain. But if you want, we have cartons of milk, and over to the side here is the premium lunch line where you could spend $5 on the slush puppy. We don't have water. We have slush puppies. That are like $5. So if you come for money, you get to have a slush puppy with your lunch or whatever they a slush puppy was always like a brand name like down south. You go to these like different convenience stores and there'd be like a big spinning cup with a like picture of a dog on it, and they called it slush puppies, and it was they were always delicious because it's like not a Slurpee or an icy. Those are more like however you would describe it, like I don't know. Like okay, you know what a Slurpee is, right? Like it's foamy and it's light and airy, and a slush puppy was like it was slush, so it's just like blue raspberry with a bunch of fucking like slush in it. So you would drink it, and these like beads of slush and ice would shoot through the straw and bust in your mouth. God damn, it was always good. But I tried to drink one recently, and I was like, "Oh, this is this is too much. This is way too sweet." Um, but that my school did have those. You could like get your lunch, and then if you had a little extra scratch, go to like the premium line, get you a slush puppy, and maybe like a French bread like single serve pizza or whatever. I mean, it's crazy what they. I mean, like schools probably don't do this anymore. Like my school had like a Coca Cola vending machine, which is like crazy to offer children as they're like trying to learn. Here's Cokes or whatever. And then there was like other schools like that episode King of the Hill, like there's the episode King of the Hill where Bobby like goes to some like other high school or something and sees that they have like a Taco Bueno in the high school, and like the school I went to didn't have that, but I do remember like going on trips to for whatever reason like other high schools, and they would have like full food courts in the high school, and that was always like amazing to me that like you could go to lunch during school and have like Chick-fil-A. I mean, crazy, wild. But then like my school was always like once you got your driver's license, um I guess like you technically like weren't allowed to do this, but I think a lot of people did anyways. Like on your when it was lunchtime, like all the kids who could drive would just like some would just like fuck off and go to like Sonic or whatever, which has shitty food anyway. The whole appeal of Sonic is just that it's like a 50 style like bellhop drive-in, but nothing on that menu is good except for the I don't even know if they have it anymore, but it was like a Frito pie wrap. So it was like all the ingredients of a like Frito chili cheese pie, but in a wrap. I always enjoyed that. But then like the real appeal of Sonic was just like the drink selection. Like I think like every day 2 to 4 half price drinks. Get that, the ocean water. That was always the best. It was Sprite and blue coconut. That's the best thing at the Sonic was the ocean water. A lot of people went for the cherry limeade, perhaps the strawberry limeade. I go ocean water all day. In terms of like fast food beverages, it's ocean water is number one, Baja Blast is number two, and then, oh, you know what? Number one might actually be if you go to an A&W, they got their own. It's like a separate tap for root beer. That might be number one. Or perhaps the Coca Cola at McDonald's. We all know that's good. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the ocean water's up there. That's a really good tasty beverage. But yeah, Sonic was their whole thing was just like we got fucking drinks. We got drinks at the ass. You can add like whatever flavor syrups you want to, and then like Coca Cola eventually came out with those like touch screen machines where it's like, they got flavors of Coke you didn't even know were possible. Where it's like you push the Coke button and then it opens up like a sub menu where it's like, oh, you got raspberry Coke. I'll try some of that. First time I saw one of them was in a Fuddruckers. Get one of them. Fuddruckers had they had the ostrich burger. That was always my go-to, and I think I would always order it for no other reason than it sounded exotic. I don't think I could ever like tell the difference between like I there was not like nothing about it that was like special or anything. It was just like I was, oh, you fucking killed an ostrich. That's cool. I don't even know where you find one now. But you like slit its throat and ground up its meat to make me a hamburger that I gotta go put some pico de gallo on at the burger bar here in the Fuddruckers. Um, there was Fuddruckers, and then one year Red Robin had this item on the menu that they should have never gotten rid of, and it was the ramen burger, where it was like a hamburger with like some Asian shit on the burger. But the selling point, this is what made it spectacular, was the buns somehow were like ramen patties, like what ramen looks like when you take it out of the pack, and it's just like a dry brick. But they were like partially like fried or something, and so like you would bite into it and it would crunch, but then the center of these like ramen patties was still like soft, like al dente ramen noodles. It was incredible. It was like to this day I've thought about that burger every day for like 8 years because I miss it so much. And then of course Red Robin also bottomless fries, and if you're so inclined, bottomless root beer floats. Dude, the whole middle of this country is fucked. Like all the chain restaurants are just like it's like suburban America is just endless chain restaurants serving like the worst food possible, and it's not like bad. Like it's delicious food. I'll eat at a goddamn Outback Steakhouse all day, but it's like that's what like so many people are growing up on, like eating, and I don't think I had like a decent meal until I was an adult, and like made started like finding out that there were places that had dishes that weren't like just mega portion slop. My favorite thing I've ever ordered on any menu actually was at this little Italian restaurant in Manhattan called Little Frankie's, and it's just an egg. It was just an eggplant. It was like a fire roasted eggplant. They would take a whole eggplant and throw it into like a brick oven, and like if you ordered it, they would tell you like, oh, like this is gonna take like 15 minutes. Is that okay? It's like absolutely. So they would take a whole eggplant, throw it into a brick oven, and then bring it out to you and at the table, cut it in half, dress it up with a little like like that black sea salt. So they put like salt on it, and I think a little bit of pepper. Maybe it was just salt. But then they would also drizzle it with oil, so you could either get the I think like the regular olive oil, and they had a chili olive oil, and I would always get the chili olive oil. And this, I mean, this thing, this eggplant is incredible at Little Frankie's. It's my probably my favorite thing I've ever ordered at any restaurant. It's like $12, just a whole eggplant. Simple, simple, simple. That's what I've learned. Spending all of my money eating at restaurants I can't afford is like the simpler the better. So just a whole eggplant, or if you're getting pizza, just margarita pizza. You know what I'm saying? All these like highfalutin, like complicated dishes, you forget that like the nuance of food. Your palate becomes like sort of desensitized in the same way that like if you watch a lot of porn, it's just like I don't want to see like just a penis going inside of a vagina. I want to see a woman, shoving like toy basketballs up her ass to see how many she can fit in there. That's kind of what happens with food. You eat all this like crazy, extravagant food, and you lose sight of the fact that sometimes just a cook like just an eggplant, or a plate of tomatoes, or anything like these real simple whole foods can be the best. You know, you got to keep it simple.